Welcome to the Explainer. So today we're looking at Microsoft Intune in a completely different light. We're going to treat Intune user management not just as some mundane list of admin features, but as the intricate process of building a highly secure, fully automated enterprise house. Because think about it, if you want a robust IT environment, you don't just throw up a few walls and hope the roof holds, right? You need a blueprint, you need structure, and that's exactly what we're going to build together today.
Let's dive right into this by contrasting two very different realities. On one hand, you have the absolute nightmare of unmanaged, chaotic identities. This is your house of cards. It's where users are created manually, permissions are handed out completely ad hoc, and one wrong breeze, like an employee offboarding improperly, brings the whole security structure crashing down. But on the other hand, you have the streamlined, secure blueprint offered by Microsoft Intune. When it's configured properly, Intune actually transforms that chaos into an architectural marvel where everything flows logically, securely, and completely automatically.
Here is our floor plan for today. We're covering 1. The foundation of identity, 2. Mastering Intune groups, 3. Licensing and policy assignments, 4. Security and access control, and finally, 5. Automation and troubleshooting.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the foundation of identity. This is where we pour the concrete.
User creation. It's the absolute bedrock of everything we're building. Now, I know it might sound super basic, but getting this meticulous first step right ensures we aren't dealing with structural cracks and manual headaches later on. Think about it. When an identity is created in Entra ID, which feeds directly into Intune, it isn't just about a name and a password. It's all about data. The attributes you assign right at creation, like those standard Entra ID attributes of department, usage location, and job title, they act as the anchor points for the rest of your building. If you pour a sloppy foundation by skipping those crucial user attributes, your automated systems downstream literally won't have anything to grab onto.
Moving right along to Section 2, mastering Intune groups. It's time to frame your building.
We absolutely have to talk about dynamic groups. These are groups that automatically add or remove members based on specific user or device properties. Why does this matter? Well, because honestly, nobody wants to manually update spreadsheets for 500 new hires on a Friday afternoon. By relying on our solid foundation, we create rules. For example, if a user's department equals sales, they auto-join the sales group. Boom, your framing builds itself, even when HR inevitably changes someone's title 3 times in their very first week. Now, as we look at the types of groups, we've got to understand the core difference between security groups and device groups. On one side, security groups organize the actual people accessing your building. These are your employees, your contractors, your guests. On the flip side, device groups target the actual hardware sitting in those rooms, the laptops, the mobile phones, the tablets. A beautifully architected Intune environment keeps these completely distinct. You assign user-centric policies to your security groups and hardware-centric configurations to your device groups. Mixing them up, it's kind of like trying to install a software update on a human being. It just creates total confusion and a whole lot of errors.
Which brings us to Section 3, licensing and policy assignments. Let's run the wiring and plumbing.
Just look at this automated assembly line in action. This brilliantly illustrates the magic of group-based licensing and policy assignments working together in perfect sequence. Step 1. A new user is created with the right attributes. Step 2. A dynamic group instantly catches that user. Step 3. Because that group is tied to your software licenses, the user's Microsoft 365 license automatically applies. And Step 4. Intune policies, like Wi-Fi profiles or app deployments, deploy immediately. By the time that user logs in for the very first time, the lights are on, the water is running, and their digital workspace is fully functional. Zero IT bottlenecks required.
Okay, Section 4, Security and Access Control. Time to install the locks.
This is where role-based access control, or RBAC, comes in, to clearly delegate who gets the keys to which specific rooms in your enterprise. Not everyone in IT needs the master key to the entire building, right? With Intune RBAC, you can map out exact roles. Your help desk staff might only get permissions to reset passwords or wipe a device, essentially giving them the keys to the lobby and the maintenance closet. Meanwhile, your senior security administrators, they get the keys to the server room. Structuring this accurately prevents the accidental demolition of your carefully built environment by an overly enthusiastic junior admin. Now, beyond internal permissions, implementing strict security recommendations is entirely non-negotiable. It's the deadbolt on the front door of your enterprise architecture. In the context of Intune user management, this means enforcing multi-factor authentication universally. It means setting up conditional access policies so that even if an attacker manages to steal a user's key, they still can't get into the house if they're trying to unlock the door from an unrecognized, uncompliant device halfway across the world.
And finally, Section 5, Automation and Troubleshooting, upgrading to the smart build.
I absolutely love this concept. Advanced automation puts your enterprise architecture on autopilot. And in the Intune world, we mean that both figuratively and literally. Hello, Windows Autopilot. By leveraging advanced automation and proper enterprise architecture throughout Intune, you actively minimize those dreaded help desk tickets and just let the system maintain itself. We're talking about utilizing tools like automated device enrollments, zero-touch provisioning, and self-service password resets. When your house manages its own day-to-day upkeep, your IT team can stop acting like janitors sweeping up messes and start acting like actual architects designing your next big expansion.
But hey, let's be realistic here. Even the best houses have the occasional leak. Troubleshooting in Intune is all about methodically tracing the wires when things don't work. But here's the good news. A logically grouped and assigned Intune environment makes troubleshooting a total breeze instead of a nightmare. Because we separated our user groups from our device groups and because we use dynamic assignment, if a policy fails to deploy, we know exactly where to look. We can check the Intune assignment logs, verify the group membership, and isolate the exact break in the wire in a matter of minutes rather than spending hours untangling a giant ball of manual assignments.
So what's the big takeaway? You've got to follow these punchy best practices to keep your IT administration running as a secure, well-architected machine. Standardize your naming conventions so your groups make sense at a glance. Always leverage dynamic groups over static ones wherever possible to reduce that manual labor. Audit your RBAC roles regularly to ensure no one has more access than they actually need. Automate your license deployments to save both time and money. And above all else, document your architecture so the next person who comes along knows exactly how the house was built.
And that wraps up our explainer on Intune user management. You now possess the master guide, so take these architectural principles, apply them to your Intune environment, and transform your identity management today. It is time to stop dealing with a chaotic house of cards and start building an enterprise identity structure that is truly built to last. So, the real question is, what's the very first room you're going to remodel?